So today is going to be all about JavaScript classes. So what are they and why do we care? How are they beneficial? What do they do for our code? But to get us there, I want to start with a mock technical interview practice. So I'm going to ask Chat GPT. Write a paragraph about an alien who likes to abduct people Okay, so you probably don't know where I'm going with this right now, but hopefully it'll be clear in a second. So we have an alien named Zorblat. It says he's friendly, but I said he abducts people. Where is Zorblat from? Zorblat Hill is from a distant star system looking the orient of the arm of the Milky Way, their home planet known as. Okay. So from Xylophoria. And what species is he of alien? Okay, and he's known as his species is luminary, we'll just say. And I'm gonna say he's abducted 346 people. Okay, so Ryan, thank you for coming today. We're very excited to have you. I'm making a JavaScript game where I'm going to have to represent different aliens, like some of this information that I've written down here. What would be the best data type to represent Zorblat in code?
Data type? I think an object.
Yeah, beautiful. And can you help me writing out that object to represent some of the most important properties above?
Yeah, you would const and whatever Zorblat, and then species. Yeah, and then you would want some properties like species, luminary, abducted, 346. From Xylophoria. Yeah.
Anything
And I
else?
guess we have his name in the const. But yep.
Okay. Beautiful. So we can console.log this. Thanks, Ryan. And yeah, we're all good here. We have an objects with these properties representing this information. So great data structure. These are properties though, right? I want Zorblat to be able to abduct people. So I want to add a method called abduct that takes in a name of the person he's abducting, increases the abducted count, and console.logs who he's abducting. So we have properties on this object. How can we make this method that I've described? Jiang?
The method. So you can like Zorplat or abduct.
Oh, okay. You want to add it after? We can do that.
And then will be the parameter will be the name, isn't it? Oh, okay. The name, yeah, name a person.
Okay.
So is it like maybe function? I don't know. And then inside that will be name. Inside
Yeah, we have name already, so I'm just gonna say person. But yeah,
okay.
same difference.
Oh yes, okay. Yeah. And then curly braces. Ingredient account. So will be like abducted.
Abducted.
I'm not sure what I'm doing now.
Yeah, this part gets tricky.
Plus
so
plus is it?
Yeah.
Can I use that?
Can you do what?
Abducted plus plus.
We can try, right?
Sorry.
So we have okay, and then console.log.
Console.
I'm abducting, and how can we say the name of the person?
Person, yeah.
Just like person.
Person. No. The dollar. The
Yeah.
dollar, and then curly braces.
Okay, so let's.
No, I think no, it's not.
Well, we can try and see what happens. So, Hara, how can we invoke this method that we've written on Zorblot?
You would call, I guess, Zorblot abduct.
Yeah.
Would that be the function? Yeah.
And already we can tell we have problems because it's not coming up for me.
Yeah.
But let's try and see what happens, right? So we got abducted is not defined. So here's the problem. We somehow want access to this object from this function. Well, really from this method.
Can I fix that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think like maybe I should be like function and then name the function will be abduct. You can delete the first like delete that's one, and then abduct, and then inside there will be Zoplat dot abducted dot, yeah, and then yeah, so maybe, and then at the end we just call abduct.
Yeah, except you're now violating the premise of the interviewer's specs. They wanted it to be a method on Zorblat,
Okay.
and now we just have a separate function.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this when you would use the constructors?
No, not yet. But that's where we're all building, kind of. Any other ideas from the class?
Would you need to add like would you need to add like something to Zorblat called like persons and make it like an empty array kind of?
No, the person is not the problem.
a
Person we can have access to when we call it right here. So that's just passing in the parameter, passing in the argument. Person is not our problem. It's really this, how do we have, we're trying to build this method that attaches, oh, sorry. I need to, Zorblat dot, what am I doing? Zorblat dot abduct equals, oh, what am I doing here? So to attach the function, we do Zorblat dot abduct equals abduct. And then here we want to call it with Daniel. And now we have this abducted is not defined. So we're attaching the method, but it doesn't have access.
You'd have to do Zorblat dot abducted plus plus.
You use this dot.
Yeah, so we want this keyword this. So the answer is that we want this dot abducted equals this dot abducted plus 1. So then that begs the question, right? What is this? So what is this? Hara? Huh?
It's the object that we're currently working on.
I'm going to say the object that is running the function, which is really the method in this case. So in this case, we know what this is when we invoke abduct because it's running on Zorblat. That's its execution context. So every running function has some kind of execution context and this an object that it's associated with. So it's very easy to see because we can just look to the left. What object is the one invoking it? This is even easier to see if you write your function, your method inside here. Then this is actually kind of easier to see, right, visually. But it works the same way, and then we don't need this line.
What is +1 work?
Well, this dot abducted evaluates to 346, and then we're just adding 1. Yeah. So this refers to the object that is running the function. Yeah, but it's an incredibly hard concept to kind of wrap your brain around. Usually when we use it in methods, it will be the object that it belongs to, but that's not always the case because of stuff like callback functions and even defining your function outside like we did originally. That function was just kind of floating in our main code, right? Visually we couldn't tell it was part of Zorblat. So really it's about what object is the one calling that function, and that's who the this is. Okay, so questions on that though? Okay, so here's the problem with this. Well, not no problem yet, but let's say make up another alien. No, a single individual alien. I don't want to erase. All right, we might have to just make it up ourselves. So we have another alien, right? And this one's called area, I guess. So name, area, the avians. Do we have a planet here? Planet of Iridia. Okay. And she's abducted 3. She's just like a little baby, maybe, but she's still able to abduct, right? So let's try to get her. Well, I'll turn it to you guys. How can I abduct Renata? Renata, how can I abduct you? Are you muted? Okay, Jazz, how can we abduct Renata?
Renata. Do you create a new object called Renata?
No, I want Aria to
okay.
abduct Renata.
Okay. Const. You create a variable called Renata. Person. Const person equals Renata. Did you do that?
Okay. Oops.
Yeah. Okay.
Oops.
And then. And then. And then I don't. Sorry. Where's it?
We just want to invoke this method.
Okay. So. How do you? Area dot. Oh wait. Could you delete that back again? Sorry. Invoke that method. Area dot abduct.
Mm-hmm.
And then inside is Renata.
Yeah, very nice. And how can we prove that this count is working correctly? David, any ideas? How can I see that the count is being updated for Aria?
You can just do Aria dot what is it? What's our property? Abducted before, and then after you invoke the abduct.
Yeah, let's check that out. So console.log aria dot. Aria dot abducted before and then after all these abductions. 3 to 7. Very nice. That's working. So, in my alien game, I have 100 or 1,000 of these aliens. Imagine them all listed like this. What don't I like about that, David? What would be bad about that if that was the end of the story?
For every alien, you would have to write the same code, same properties, all that. So it's better to use a class.
Have to repeat a lot of code. The worst part of it would be abduct. Why is abduct really the worst of that violation of dry, kind of? Ronald, why is abduct particularly bad?
Yeah, because basically it's the same function that's doing the same action, and you don't need like 100.
Yeah, I mean, at least these ones we have different values.
Yeah.
But this one literally is the same. We're creating that maybe 1,000 times in memory, and it's just we could be writing it once. So now we have classes to the rescue. So we can go up to here. What are classes and why do we care? So what is a JavaScript class, Ronald?
I believe like classes are kind of like, you can think of them as like a blueprint for objects.
Yeah, perfect. And we care because, or it's cool because.
It's cool because you can, I guess, quickly write objects like almost like a factory function, or and you can, I think you can, I don't know, I'm not really too sure that I know you can use the new keyword to instantiate new instances of objects, or the blueprint of the objects you're trying to create.
Yeah, but we can share methods. Yeah,
right.
that's the biggest one for a class, right? You're sharing methods instead of rewriting it a million times. And your data is coupled with the functions to manipulate it.
Okay. Yeah. I remember somebody once telling me, like, I wasn't really sure, I couldn't remember, but they were saying, like, oh, if anything with classes, just remember that it's like data and functionality coupled together.
Yeah.
That's the only.
Yeah. So it's crazy that we've never had to we've written a lot of objects, right? Can anyone think so far in the course, have we written a method, like our own method? I mean, David has, but I think he's the only one. Yeah, it's kind of crazy because we're constantly using methods. Like, look at this. When we type students dot, we have all these different methods available to us. So we are constantly using methods. We might not have realized it, kind of. But these are all objects that have properties and methods. And that's, so this array object has methods that we can use built in. So we're just constantly using this this pattern, but not really realizing it. Because arrays behind the scenes in JavaScript are actually just objects. So incredibly useful. Even think of Prisma, right? When we type dot and we just see like all those different methods like create and stuff. So even though we haven't written classes ourselves and the idea of it, we've used so many libraries that do include this pattern. Okay. So how can I write my alien class? How can I write my alien class? I'll ask for a volunteer because I don't know, because it might be hard, the first one. But in code, or not code review, but in more mock lecture at the end of class, you should be prepared to write a class. But any volunteer right now to write this alien class using class.
Yeah, you can do a class, alien, and then write parentheses, and then all the properties like name, species.
Well, not yet, right?
You have to put that in the constructor part.
Yeah. So we need this special method called constructor, which eventually, when we instantiate a new object from this class, will run automatically, and it will accept the arguments you feed into it. So now, which arguments do you think we want?
Name, species.
Yeah.
Abducted, planet.
Mm-hmm. And then what's the syntax for this, David, inside the constructor?
I think it's like name. No, this dot name.
Yeah. So what is this in the context of this class?
It's referencing the instance of alien.
Referencing the eventual object that's spit out when the class is instantiated. Yeah, so the eventual object that gets produced is what this is referring to. Yeah, in this context of a class. Okay, so this dot name we want equal to name, and this dot species we want equal to species, and this dot abducted we want equal to abducted, and this dot planet we want equal to planet. Okay. How can I instantiate Aria using this new class we've built?
We're missing the method though, right?
Yep. Purposely right now. We'll circle back. Ketrin, how can I instantiate a new object from this class?
Call area can you put the other object in there and just say like you just want the you can put the name in there, I think, like curly brace and just only name.
No, we want to use our class constructor. So, any ideas, class?
Gonna be this dot.
Would it be new?
Yeah, so we have a special keyword new.
Alien.
And then we use the class name alien. And then we have to feed in those properties we want, arguments in this case. So we have aria avians 3 Heredia. Now if I console.log aria, we can see an object has been created. So this new keyword created a this and returned it from the class and ran the constructor. So now we have this way more streamlined way of creating objects. But what David was saying is we don't have abduct available yet. So aria.abduct is not a function. So we don't have our method. We don't have our abduct. So how can we, and let me go ahead and copy this. How can we get that that method now in our class? Where do the methods go?
Hey Max, I have a question.
Yeah.
Now that we've, it looks like now that we're creating a new alien, order of our parameters does matter because that's, you know, area avians 3 and Iridia seem to like need to match up to.
I don't think so.
To name, species, abducted, and planet. Is there a way to put like a key value instead so we can like put it in any order, or
I don't think this ordering here matters. Is that what you mean?
No, but I'm talking about when you're creating const aria and you're passing in the strings on line 50.
Yeah, you could certainly do an object here. But so you like, could that's the same for every function. In every function, the order matters of your parameters a lot.
Yeah.
So there's no change here for this.
So it's the same exact. Okay.
Yeah.
Max, since I guess Daniel was just bringing that up anyways, but can you explain like the new keyword, because I think there's like a lot that's going on with it. It's like creating like a new context or an object underneath the scenes that you kind of said, and then it's binding to this keyword to point to that object, right?
Yeah.
Then
So
it's just like creating that imaginary and returning it implicitly.
Yeah. So
with the return.
This class is fake syntactic sugar for really what's going on behind the scenes is called prototype. And in that case, it's clear to see what new is doing, but it is creating an empty object, calling it this, and then returning it from the function when you use new with a constructor function. But class is hiding all that complexity. So just remember, when you have a class and you want to make a new object from the class, you just have to use the keyword new to make the new object. But to fully understand what new is doing, you would have to understand constructor functions and prototypes and stuff that's beyond the scope of lecture today, unfortunately.
Okay. It doesn't even put new in front of it as well.
Right? What?
It doesn't work without the new keyword.
I don't think so. You can try.
It's like a safety check, I think, with the classes.
Yeah. Yeah, we need new. Yep. Okay, so back to how do we get this method in our alien class? Any ideas?
In the body of the class after the constructor?
Yeah, we can just throw it after the constructor. So the constructor is for properties. And below, outside of the constructor and not in any method, well, that doesn't make sense. But in the body of the class alien is where we put our methods. Why doesn't it like that? Oh, the comma. No comma. And now this works just as it did before. But the cool benefit is that we can now create aliens very easily. Zykorgs 2000 Zion. Okay, so now, yeah, we can create other aliens very easily. And the benefit is Xerxes. So when we console.log Xerxes, what don't we see? What is missing?
A method?
Yeah, so you might think, well, Xerxes doesn't have the ability to abduct, but he does, right? So Xerxes is abducting Daniel, yeah. So where is Xerxes getting that ability from? It doesn't exist on his kind of local object. He has to go up to his class, which here is referenced as the prototype, and find it there. So here is where the abduct method exists. So the cool thing now is Xerxes and Aria both share the same method. So it's only existing once in memory as opposed to 1,000 times. And if we need to change it, it's all right here. Very easy to change. So this is a little bit cleaner of a strategy for making our aliens.
Yeah. Does that method, so it exists, it's a prototype is a property, right? An object.
Yeah. You really want to talk about prototypes. But
so
yeah, when so alien.prototype is going to be it behind the scenes. And it's right here. Yeah, the constructor and the abduct methods. Yep. And that all gets created for us just by using the keyword class. But you don't have to worry about that. You should on your own research this, because would be very impressive in an interview. I think one of the most impressed I was during an interview was when the candidate had a solid understanding of proto. I don't even know how to say it. That's how bad my understanding is. Prototypal inheritance. Like I could tell he really understood it more deeply than I do. But he also prepared probably hours before talking about it. So if you do have the time and you are interested, it's a really interesting topic. Yeah. But Ronald?
A high level overview of like kind of like how it works. I mean, like since it's only one level, but like if you do aria.abduct, it's not on the current alien instance or that instance, but it's gonna look up, right? Basically, like bubble up.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't find it.
Object.
It doesn't find it here, so it looks up to its parent prototype, and it keeps actually going up the chain. And this is it's like the fundamental nature of JavaScript. This I'll never know how to say this word. Prototypal inheritance. Everything is an object. And even the things that are not an object get wrapped as an object sometimes. And they all inherit from each other. So if we keep on going up the chain, we see object. Yeah. So everything is based on this. Can we console.log just object? No, I guess we can't see like the details of it.
Console.dir. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Cool. So it's saying it's a function, but I bet there's an object.prototype. Yeah. And this doesn't, finally, this is like the master vampire. It doesn't have a proto to point to. This is where everybody is inheriting from. Yeah. So almost every value in JavaScript will have a two-string method because they're all inheriting from this master prototype object. So they all can have access to these methods. But if none of that made sense, don't worry. It barely makes sense to me unless I'm thinking about it kind of deeply in the moment. The takeaway from today is we're going to be using classes to build our data structures, like linked list and trees and graphs. So you need to, the important part of the lecture today is understanding how to make a class and build new objects from that class. So I'm actually going to delete this part. We don't need it. So with that being said, any questions on classes?
Is the constructor required?
I don't think so, but also I can't imagine ever having a class without it. But we can check it out. This is curious that this isn't causing an error because we have no property abducted.
I think it might default to something like if you don't put it in there, it will probably just create a blank constructor. You could console log or the instance of alien to see.
Even so, this should be null, right? This dot abduct or undefined. And so how can, I don't know, how can, you're saying null equals something? Is that even possible?
We could console.log the alien class to see what if there's a constructor on there or console.dir.
What do we want to console.log? Aria maybe? Yeah, it has nothing on it, but then the prototype does have abduct. But abduct doesn't have. I don't know why that's not throwing an error. You know what I mean? Because we can console.log this dot abducted, but it's undefined.
I think undefined +1 is nan.
Oh yeah. But still, we're saying undefined equals something, which is. Oh no, we're declaring. We're not we're not grabbing this value. We're declaring this value. So yeah, this is bizarre. Don't do any of this, but interesting question.
Max, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can an object have more than one class attached to it?
Yeah. So that's the whole idea with inheritance. So, an object has its own properties and maybe its own methods. Like if we look at Aria again. So Aria is an object with its own properties, but then it inherits from class alien. And then class alien could inherit, well, it does inherit from, you can think of it like a class, master class called the object, which every JavaScript object inherits from. So we can make another class. I wasn't planning on getting here today, so I might be a little sloppy. But we can make another class called gray that extends alien. And this one will... what do we get when we just do this, I wonder? So this one will inherit from alien and should have all the alien properties. But let's try it, see what we get. So new gray, gray nord, graylian, 120, planet, grax. So when we console.log gray, we get all that normal information. Do we get, and we get the, and I believe we get the abducted method as well. So gray has the ability to abduct. Yeah, I'm abducting Victor. So we get all this alien stuff for free. But then the cool thing is we also, so maybe the grays can have telekinetic powers. So levitate. So we can have a method like I'm levitating. And now grays can abduct, but now they can also levitate because they're inheriting from aliens. So they have all the powers of aliens, but their own powers.
Thank you.
But now Xerxes, what do we think? Can Xerxes levitate? What do you think, Zach? Can Xerxes levitate?
No, because it's only the alien class, not the class.
Exactly. So that's inheritance, which I wasn't planning on showing you guys because we're not going to use it. Yeah, we're not going to use it in the course. But to deeply understand JavaScript, it is a very important concept. Everybody's inheriting methods from everyone else until you get to that master object. I built something yesterday. Well, let's close this. Any questions on this? Okay, so be prepared for mock technicals at the end of class to be able to build your own class. That'll be our whatever practice. I can go ahead and give you this code too. But anyway, a lot of you were questions?
Yeah, I've got another question.
Sure.
To revisit the constructor.
Yeah.
So the understanding of constructor is that you use that to initialize variables. Is that right?
Yeah, so the properties you want on your object when it gets created, so you can feed them in here when you're instantiating a new object. That's the job of the constructor, to get these properties.
And then if you declare without a constructor, you can just do what? Name equals name, species equals species. You don't need the this word.
No, you definitely need the this in this case. Do you mean if I deleted these thises?
Well, in other words, if you didn't have a constructor, and then let's say you comment that out, and then beneath it, you just go ahead and do name, species,
comma,
abduct.
Or what?
No, I think you just I think it's a semicolon.
What else did we have? Name, species, abducted. I can already tell there's problems because it's not giving me IntelliSense, but so now we have undefined for everything because we don't have a constructor. But there might be new syntax to this class that you're hinting at, but I don't know it.
Oh no, I'm not hinting. I'm just curious. The reason for having a constructor.
Like maybe if you mean doing it out here, but no, like.
Okay. So if I didn't have a constructor, the way I would have to populate those is through calling, like, whatever aria dot name equals such and such. I have to invoke it, right?
Well, to create it, you have to invoke it, but once it's created, it just exists in this variable as an object.
Okay.
But there is one thing that you might be hinting at. If you have a property that, like say our grays are always hostile. Oh, can we not do that? Or I think we can. Yeah, we know that our grays are always hostile. So we're not going to be like putting in a Boolean for that because they just always are. Now I think we can access that property. So yeah, we have hostile true, even though we didn't use the constructor. But now we lose the ability to like have that change. I mean, we can manually change it, but it won't be an input when you're instantiating an object.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you but if you have ones that aren't changing, or not ones that aren't changing, but ones when you first create the object, like maybe when an alien is first created, they're abducted is just 0. I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever. Let's make that make sense for this example. Like then that will just always be abducted 0, and then later on they increase their skill by abducting people or whatever. And then here we would take out the abducted. Other questions on that?
Yeah. I think I mean, I'm not too sure about this either, but like I think because this is all syntactic sugar, so like it's a little confusing if you really think about it, because I was really confused about classes as well, and I was always like, why do we write it on the class body like that? I was like, what is class actually? And it's just like a function, and then I'm just like, okay, but it's a blueprint for an object. But I think way back before classes, there was like this idea of factory functions where you can mass produce functions, and it's just a function. And then you would just like write your
but a factory function is something else.
Yeah, it's just an object, and then you would write all the properties, but then you could pass in the parameters, and then you could like pump out objects really quick. But then there was no really way to differentiate, and then you would make a constructor function, right, using the this keyword.
Yeah.
And then you would return. But I think the main thing is that when we had all these things, they were functions that would return objects. And that's the same idea with this constructor. We need a function that will return an object. So that's why these classes, they have a constructor function in there, because it's the function that will create the object and return it.
Yeah.
And so even if you don't include the constructor keyword or the method, they're gonna implicitly add that property to the class, but it's just gonna be an empty function that is defaulted because they need it, and the constructor function will always run one time only on the initial creation of that specific kind of object. Yeah, that's just,
well, it runs one time. It runs every time you first create the object. Yeah.
Only the first time, yeah.
Only the first time, though. So yeah, behind the scenes, you have what's called a constructor function working in coordination with a prototype object. So you have a function and an object that's doing the work of that we're simplifying with having a class. It might not feel very simple, but this is actually simpler. Yeah.
I think one other thing that could like maybe help you if somebody or whatever is that this body right here after this is actually all alien.prototype. So anything here is we're just directly writing on the prototype object itself. That's why we can do that. And we don't have to do like alien.prototype equals abduct. We can just put the little inside there.
This stuff is part of the object and this stuff is part of the constructor function. Yep.
Okay, another question. If I add a property later on, like if I do what was one of our alien area dot, I don't know, planet. Oh, we already have planet, never mind. Area dot whatever. Does it add it into the constructor, or
it adds it into the lowest down object instantiation of the class. So only the object itself knows about that. So if we do gray dot I don't know, what did we do? What did you say? Sorry.
I said planet, but we already have
gray dot, we already have hostile. Gray dot crop circles, like the number of crop circles he's done. So now if we console.log gray, and we have too many console.logs. Let me clear these out. Okay. Yeah, now we have crop circles, and this definitely doesn't exist on like the prototype or the constructor function or anything. It just exists on this local object. Was that your question though, or something different?
That was it.
Okay, cool. Okay, other questions? All right, let me show you. So a bunch of questions on photos yesterday for your projects. For your recipe one, you'll probably want a user to be able to upload a photo. Yeah. For the travel blog, yeah, you probably, wouldn't that be awesome if your users could upload photos as well? So I started coding this out last night. Let's take a look. So this isn't a production solution, but it is good enough for our use case right now. So what your user can do is choose a file here. So here's the form. I'm going to give you this code too, so you can spend your time looking at it. What do I want to show you? So the user can choose a file. I don't know what these are. I'm sure it'll be fine. And then when they choose a file, I'm firing this function, handle image upload. So we're right here. It grabs the file and converts it to base 64, which is just, you can think of as a string. And it sets it in state. And then finally, when I click upload image, well, this part I haven't done the back end yet, but we can just console.log the base 64 image. So now when I click upload image, oops, and I got to prevent default. So now this string is representing that image. And now you can send it to the database and save it there and then retrieve it. So your recipe can have like an image URL that's a string and you can save it there. Send it to the server. Prisma can just do the prisma.create. And then you can have pretty easily, you can have images as part of your applications. The one caveat is that this is not the most efficient solution for a real production grade application. So if your capstone becomes a real idea, just remember you'll have to revisit this kind of. But the crazy part is it's not even that long of a string that represents a, oh, it's saying show more. Hold on. Never mind. It's a little bit long, yeah. But still, the database can handle it. Cockroach will crawl along, right? Crawl along. I don't know. Yeah, any questions on that? And I'll give you the code. I don't even think I need to write out the backend for you guys. If you want me to, I could, but it's this was the hard part. The backend is just saving it and doing all the normal stuff. All right, let's go.
So in the backend in the schema, it would just be a image URL is a string, right?
Yeah, it would be the string. It'd be that simple, I think. Would be your schema. Yeah. And then you save this long string as string, and then that's it. And then when you get it back from the database, even easier, you can display it just raw. Somehow, like the image tag just will accept base64, which is crazy. I don't know how that works, but it's really easy. So you're plugging in this long string into here and it shows the image. Yeah, it's pretty long, but I think your computer can handle it. I mean, if you did a few thousand, it might get crazy. I don't know.
Is there a way to set a limit to how big a file they can upload?
Yeah. Definitely, but I haven't researched it, but set limit to file upload HTML input tag. Limit file. Here we go. I don't know. I might have to get back to you on this one. Oh, yeah. There you go. So where are we at? So right here with this image, you should have a property called size. No. Files 0. Oh, maybe it does exist. No. Can we console.log image.size? I don't have a lot of faith that it didn't auto-populate, but let's see. Oh, we got to delete this. Okay, let's delete our base64 image and let's delete that. Yeah, cool. So right here, I don't know if this is in bytes or what. Maybe bytes, right? So you can see the size right here, and then you could just reject it right in your JavaScript code. So you could say if image.size greater than 100,000, too big. Yeah, too big. Cool. Good question. Any other questions? Okay. Let's get you into your rooms.